Hello everyone, thank you for joining me in another art vlog. Today I'm sharing with you my experience with trying to acrylic pour for the first time. It's a technique that I've seen all over the internet, as I'm sure you have as well, that always looks very interesting. It's a form of abstract painting where you basically use a whole bunch of paint and thin it out so that it spreads really nicely, and you put it all onto the canvas and you can kind of manipulate the paint to get it to form some interesting shapes and cells if you add some additives to it and things. I've always seen it all over Instagram and on YouTube, and I've always wanted to give it a try myself. So I purchased some colors that I thought would look nice together, reds and some pinks and whites, and I decided to give it a shot. Here I'm laying down the base color that I want to have. I've already primed the canvas with gesso and a little bit of dark acrylic paint, but here you can see I'm pouring out some black and grays and covering the canvas with them. And so the technique that I'm doing here is called a Dutch pour, where you basically put a thin line of the paint across the wet canvas and you just layer those colors on top of each other in that line, and then you can manipulate it with a hairdryer or whatever you have. So here I'm just kind of pulling that gray background color and kind of pushing the paint around a little bit to try to get them not to mix but to incorporate a little bit. And then I'm using the hairdryer to push the colorful paint out and get some of those interesting swirls and shapes that I was talking about earlier. And then here I'm just using a straw to push the paint around and kind of fine-tune it a little bit. If I were to do this technique again, I would definitely need to use more paint for the background in particular. I really underestimated the amount of paint that I would need for a panel of this size, so I would definitely do that differently. I would also choose some colors that wouldn't mix as well. I didn't really love how the Dutch pour came out, and so I cut up the panel and I put gesso over top of it and pretended I didn't even do that. And in these clips I'm showing you a different kind of acrylic pour that I did. This one is just a flip cup pour. I thought I would give that one a shot because it seemed like it was much less wasteful with the paint, and also I was using a smaller canvas size so I didn't have to use as much. Yeah, that's my only issue with these techniques is how much paint you actually have to use and waste, because the layers that you create are either so thick or they're really thin and you just let all of the paint run off of the panel, and then I don't know how you would reuse that paint, but so that's really the only issue that I have with it. But here I've just added a bunch of different shades of blue that I mixed, and some white and purple, and I'm just pushing it around on the panel, just letting gravity do the work and seeing what kinds of patterns will come out of it. So even though my plans for that first Dutch pour that I did, my plans for that piece were much different. I didn't plan on painting over it, obviously, but I also didn't plan on leaving it as it was. I wanted to have that be the background, and then do some portraiture over the top. I found that it was really difficult to get the portraiture to work in tandem with that background, and it just didn't work out. And so I just decided, instead of sitting with it and trying to fix it and staring at it and hating it, that I would just paint over it and see what I could do with the panels, and do something entirely different. Here I'm attempting to do another abstract acrylic painting. I've been really enjoying doing those, but this time I wanted to do something with a little different color scheme. I'm trying to keep it very blue-green, and obviously adding in some accents to make it interesting with some complementary colors. Sometimes it's difficult to let go of a creative idea that you have, because you want it to work. Like, you can see it in your head and you want to put that onto a canvas, but for whatever reason it's just not working when you actually go to implement it. And it took me a few weeks of sitting and looking at that failed acrylic pour to realize it's not worth trying to figure it out. It's not worth sitting there and wondering and painting and repainting and painting over and trying to figure it out. If it's not working, it's not working. That I tend to fixate on what isn't working, and I spend a lot of time trying to fix the things that aren't working, because I obviously want to get better and grow as an artist. But sometimes it's just way more fun to do something that I know and something that I can feel confident in. That being said, I'm not particularly fond of the paintings that I did with the salvaged panels that I painted over. I don't hate them. Like, I viscerally hated what I had made with the original paintings, but these that I did afterwards, they're not my favorites, and they're not things that I would usually try to create. They were just they were short bursts of expression, and they're fine, but I don't love them. So obviously I've finished these paintings by the time I'm recording this voiceover, and I can tell you that in the time in between, I have really just been focusing on oil painting and doing small things in my sketchbook and trying to improve with the things that not only do I feel more confident in them, but I also genuinely enjoy the art that I can produce in that style. I'm fairly confident that these acrylic paintings weren't like terrible paintings. At least I don't think they're totally terrible paintings, but like I said, I wouldn't normally create something like this. So I really enjoyed getting back into my traditional loose expressionistic type of oil painting that I've been enjoying. So here's this piece finally finished. I hope you enjoyed seeing the evolution of this one panel that I had and painted over. And I hope you really enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.